I just got called to a court.
You did?
So I need to go.
Get out there. Get out there.
Thank you, Doc.
You're welcome.
Attach it, reverse it.
You can take it off.
Reverse it.
I feel like I should just hold it like a mic.
Reverse it.
You can hold it like a mic too. That also works. Outside of pickleball, you've also been trying to establish like, how am I going to make this a successful career beyond just playing, right? So can you give me a little bit about like what you're doing? I know a lot of people have seen your content, but beyond just pickleball, what you're doing from like a business half of things.
In terms of business, obviously content's the most important. I'm just trying to honestly create a niche in pickleball that wasn't generally established 2 years ago, which was tapping into the younger audience, whether that be with more trick shots, highlights, as well as just playing the next gens, the collegiate stuff. So that's kind of where I orient my brand now. And I mean, obviously I did that just through, I committed to posting every day this year on Instagram, and it was ruthless. Like some weeks you have like a week or two of drafts lined up, but then, once it dries up, then you're like, oh my gosh, like I actually need to, I need to go out and reshoot or do more content. And I was like, I'll commend myself where I was very disciplined, where like there were some times where like I even just, I didn't go out or I didn't hit or I didn't do anything like that just to shoot content, because that was one of my goals for this year.
Why'd you start doing it? Let me ask you that. Why'd you start shooting content?
Many reasons. Yeah. I'd say one of the reasons is because I wanted to make sure that if I rolled my ankle tomorrow as a pro, that I'd be insured enough where I'm at least still relevant. So I kind of viewed it as, a little insurance plan where if I'm relevant enough on social media and I'm using my pro career to leverage myself on social media. But if my pro career disappears, I at least have another pillar on social media that can still lift me high. Another part of it was because 2 years ago, before all the big contracts were getting signed, if you had 15,000 followers plus in the pickleball niche on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you were making more than a low to mid-tier pro. So like financially, I wanted to be set up that way as well, in case, once again, I rolled my ankle or anything like that, then I was still making enough money to support myself. So a lot of reasons. I'd obviously say another big part was just wanting to build a brand outside of pickleball. Like I wanted to be not known as Jack Munro Pickleball, but Jack Munro.
Yeah. I do. I completely get that. I wanted to bounce over to Blueberry Man over here with the tray of blueberries. You want to introduce yourself for me a little bit?
I'm
know who you are.
I'm Jaikin Gomez.
Okay.
And I guess I play pickleball.
You're an aspiring pro.
What's the guess? Are you playing next gen yourself, or are you?
So I'm 23, so this is probably my first and probably my last next gen today.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. It was more just for fun. Do it with some friends.
What got you into next gen? These guys?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You encouraged him?
Yes.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Are you from the area yourself?
I live in Texas, but I have my little cousin goes to school at Miami, so I'm staying with him.
Gotcha. So you were playing pickleball with this guy, and he said, "Hey, why don't you play next gen with us?"
Beating this guy.
I'm actually like, I don't think I've ever won a match against Jaikin in rec play, which is nuts.
I'm not horrible.
Listen, you can't be horrible to be playing next gen, right? But I mean, for the success that you at least see that Jack has had.
Rec play Jack?
Yeah.
Tournament Jack? Not the same Jack.
You playing fully on the opposite side in rec play? You playing right to left rather than left to right?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
So I play righty, but even there are times where like I play righty and I'm down like 6-0 against this guy, I switch lefty and I just can't beat him. I literally just can't beat him.
What is it about him?
I don't know. He's a lefty. He's a
intimidating.
lefty, so he's never in front of me. He's always cross court.
Okay.
But he still like speeds up at me and like takes it personally. I don't know why.
So do you find the lefty to lefty, if you're playing singles, or I'll say singles, the lefty to lefty is tougher when it comes to patterns? Or would you play it more righty playing against another lefty like him?
Due to margins, I'd probably say I'd rather play a righty.
Okay.
Due to my game, I'd also still say I'd rather play a righty. For many reasons, like geometrically as well as strategically.
Yeah.
The middle's closed. It's closed.
Yeah, in dubs the middle's closed. Obviously, lefty's a huge advantage in dubs, but for some reason, lefties just always develop their forehand to be extremely strong and their backhand to be extremely weak, therefore. So it's just, I mean, there's many examples of that even on the pro tour.
Yeah.
So I personally like playing lefties because my backhand's a bit more developed than them. So that cross-court dink pattern is very easy to establish and create off of.
So I'm gonna come back to you now over there too.
All right.
After that, so I want to involve you a little bit, not just sit there and eat your blueberries, right? So now shifting on to next gen, right? That's kind of like a big jump, meaning you're going from beating his ass in rec play to now jumping into next gen and being like, okay, I got to do something with this, right?
For sure.
Did you have a lot of early success, or did you have a lot of, I'll say, losses where now you had to navigate the failures associated and the mindset associated and also the physicality associated to the game?
In terms of pickleball as a whole, or this a specific event?
I'll say specifically next gen, only because
Specifically
we're
next
sitting here
gen?
talking about it and then we talk about pickleball as a whole, yeah.
Can you rephrase that question again?
Yeah. Meaning,
Fourth grade terms.
meaning now that you're playing pickleball at a higher level,
Yes.
there's pressures that come along with it.
For sure.
How have you navigated those pressures?
So far, I have definitely noticed that the tournament experience that some of these kids have definitely plays a big factor. Like, Jack is obviously the higher level, and it's pretty obvious to see from him, but even the lower level kids, like there's some 13-year-old kids out here, and they just come out and they play so confidently because they do this like every weekend, and you can
Yeah.
really tell that like the tournament experience plays a big role because they've been here, they've already lost. Like someone who like doesn't play events, it's like, oh my gosh, am I going to come in here and lose? And these kids are like, I lost last week, who cares? Let's go out and let's play and let's see how I do. And I think mindset goes a long way in terms of sports as a whole.
Absolutely.
Like obviously, some people have more talent, but can you bring it? Like, what do you bring when you're not at your best? And that is where I kind of need to raise my level. So when I'm on, I can hang with this guy, but when I'm off, I can lose some matches that I probably shouldn't lose. So just raising my floor and keeping my ceiling high, I think I really took away from this event.
That's spot on. And Jack, I was going to turn to you here because the follow-up question is, now that you have the experience, how do you find a way to still win games when you're at 70% or 60%? Like, what's the difference maker there?
So it's just like what Kirio said in tennis, where it's like, tennis is one of those sports, same with pickleball, where you lose week in, week out. It's not like where you have one football game every week or every other week and then you win it, like you're stoked. Tennis, with it being an elimination-based or, a bracket-based system, I mean, if you're going to play until you lose, unless you get gold. So it's one of those things where you have to just learn to lose and also learn while losing. But yeah, one of the things, that I've developed is just like what he said, it's having a higher floor. So like when you're playing at 80%, when you're playing good, you're still playing better than the other person that's also playing while they're consistent, but your floor is a bit higher than theirs. Yeah. And that comes with experience, reps, all of that cliche stuff.
Because what you're getting at, and you could get this from watching and playing, is that when you're down, let's say you lost the first game, and now you're playing the second game, you're not thinking about the first game at all. You're now in the second game, and often you see on tour, lose first game, win the second two in a 2-3 match. And what you're getting at is you see all the experienced guys are finding a way to win in those second two games. Whether it is quickly analyzing the game, meaning adjusting your patterns and your strategy, etc., but also the fact of just staying consistent, even keel, not emotionally getting overwhelmed, whether you're in ahead or behind. And you can see that, like, I see you guys playing like that way, even over here in Next Gen and even the tours on the pros on tour. It's like, how do you stay level-headed when the emotions are high or the emotions are low, right? Kind of both sides of it, which you really hit the nail on the head. So we have two closing questions, then I'll let you go. The first one, and I'll start with you. First one is, what is one failure that you had, doesn't have to be in Next Gen, could be in life, that you are now thankful for today?
Definitely going to bring it back to basketball. That was my first true love. That was my main sport. Actually, wearing my basketball shirt right now.
Yeah.
Reliving the high school days.
The high school dream.
High school hero. But I actually went to school with a player who was the #1 player in the entire city.
Okay.
His name's Xavier Wheeler. He actually went on to play at University of Georgia with Anthony Edwards, and then at Kentucky. So this guy's a pro. He plays overseas now. So I learned very quickly. not a point guard anymore. Couldn't dribble the ball past half court by this guy. So you could see that as a failure. I was on JV as a freshman playing point guard.
Yeah.
But obviously when you get older, you want to play varsity. And that wasn't going to happen for me at point guard. And I wasn't a great shooter. So I had 3 options. I could quit, work on my shot, or find a new role. And I chose option 3.
Yeah.
So my junior year of high school, my sophomore year, I started working out pretty consistently, like 5-6 days in the gym.
I can see that.
Thank you. And then by my junior year, actually, I was playing center on a state championship basketball team.
Okay.
So I'm 5'10", sitting down, 5'10". This guy towers over me, and he plays pickleball. And then I was guarding 6'10" guys, so working out definitely played a big factor in that. So, I mean, I was still averaging like 2 points a game. I'm not shooting over those guys, but I could still dribble because I was still a better ball handler than the other people on the court, just not my teammate. So we pressed the whole game. And we won a lot of games when people would come in and they'd underestimate us off the jump. I mean, who's this guy? He's like 5'10". He's their center. Barbecue chicken. No. Opposite, man. So that was really first humbling as a young kid and then very rewarding. So I was never the leading scorer of the team, but I found my role on a state championship team and won my junior and senior year, and that's how I finished sports. So
That's awesome.
it was very awesome. Tons of life advice from it. Not
Do you think it
just
really
from
gave
sports.
you like the work ethic that translates into today to like want to play something at a high
Oh,
level?
for sure. Like
Yeah.
that's what I was missing in college. Like I stopped playing sports for like my first 3 years in college, and then my senior year of college, I found pickleball.
Yeah.
And so now I've been doing that for about a year and a half. So
Oh yeah.
right now I'm still in the humbling stage for sure. This tournament's a great example of that, but I think for sure the way I'm going to look at it is it's an opportunity to get better, not an opportunity to quit.
Absolutely. It's like
And
when you're watching film or when you're reviewing back your games, it's what did the other opponent do well that really made you either make an error or force you to take a different shot that was outside your
100%.
Rather than saying like, why the fuck did I miss that shot?
Yeah.
It's like, what did they do well? Then you have a new pattern in your back pocket. You have a new look in your back pocket.
Yeah.
So I love that. I really
the
love
best thing about this is like seeing this guy, like if you go watch us warm up, there's probably 30 kids out there whose forehand looks better than his just from playing 20 years of tennis. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that
Yeah.
as a compliment.
Yeah.
Because he goes out there and beats him. Like I know you like to talk a lot about mindset. Like you have to get on the court and execute at your highest and consistently. It's not like
Absolutely.
who can be the most showy, and it's about who can bring it when it counts. And that's where I think my mindset over time, I think I can get somewhere like that. So
it. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. So I'm sure you'll have plenty of success.
I hope so.
Going
man.
forward with that.
Doubles guy for sure. Though. Doubles for sure. Singles, different story.
Do you have one failure that you're now thankful for,
Uh,
either in pickleball or outside?
A few. I'll keep it simple. The first one was when I was posting content, it's always like, you always get backlash, not backlash, but like people who, you're like acquaintances with, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're posting content, or like, I saw what you posted today, like you thought it was funny, or whatever. And it was just like, it's like subtle jabs that like kind of like hits your mind, and you're like, man, like, should I keep doing this? Or like, should I keep going forward, or should I, or, like, I'm comfortable right now not posting content, so I can just go back to being comfortable rather than posting this stuff and then I go play with them, and it's like, it just felt weird posting content at first, especially when people were giving me, were making fun of it. That's something that I pushed through. I was where Jaikin was, like for a year and a half, just eating dirt, trying to qualify in these tournaments, trying to always find the bigger fish to partner up with. And there were some tournaments where like, you'd have school, and then right after school you'd have to fly out to go all the way across the country to go play, and then you don't even make it out of qualifying. And so like that's a huge failure. It's now you're like
Brutal.
$1,500 in the hole because registration's expensive, travel's expensive,
It ain't cheap.
and so it took a mental toll, because it's like, when am I going to break even, or when am I just going to get out of this and start being main draw and not having to worry about qualifying? And then it just took a lot of mindset shifts. I'd say obviously just changing towards a growth mindset was the biggest one.